McGrath comes in, it's on its way, it's there! The miracle on grass!
Owen with a kick to full forward, Cloak, not quite, Blair, Collingwood, back in front.
The seed, he delays the give, Franklin, this is Buddy Franklin! This is the greatest showman! Poor fans can't bear to watch. They led by 28 points at one stage, but the perfect storm has erupted. Oh, who else? McDonald!
Round one of the 2022 season is in the books, and sweet damn, did we get off to a cracking start when it comes to the season, because we had tons of great games. There were a couple stinkers in there, let's be honest. Looking at you, North Melbourne and Hawthorn, you guys couldn't kick it straight for what felt like an eternity, and that was horrible. But we also had some fantastic games. We had a fantastic live stream. If you guys caught that, of course, we'll be talking a little bit more about GWS and Sydney as we go on. But what we got for you guys is just a whole lot of fun. Actually, new season, new show. We're switching up the format a little bit, so I hope you guys enjoy. Of course, let us know, give your thoughts back. I know you guys do. Don't even have to have me prompt you, because you'll be right there in the YouTube comments if there's something you don't like. So I'm excited for that. But of course, I'm your host, Ross Allen, joined alongside by the very best footy correspondent, Coach Donnie Hess. And Coach, happy birthday, by the way, birthday week. And also shout out to the birthday for the GWS Giants. Go Giants. But how are you feeling after round one of the season?
Oh man, what a round one of footy. It's hard not to argue that this was not one of the best first rounds I have ever witnessed. So many games coming down to the wire. So
well, easily
many
the best
games.
round I ever witnessed.
Oh, definitely, for sure. I just enjoyed so much great footy. I mean, started off with a rematch of the grand final with the Western Bulldogs and the Melbourne Demons. A cracking game. It was eerie how scary close that game was to the grand final. Mm-hmm. And then I'll give a shout out right off the bat. Carlton, the Tigers. Man, what a game that was. That was one heck of a game of footy.
Oh my gosh,
and
right?
You can tell the Blue Bagger fans are up and about after that
Good for
result.
them.
Because,
they deserve it.
Oh my, was it interesting to hear the Carlton fans drown out Richmond in the MCG. How
yes.
fascinating was that? That was absolutely fantastic. And then a little bit of a less intense game between Collingwood and St Kilda in Game 3, which I was very fascinated by that one. And the Collingwood team, they're peeking their head out, kind of going, "Hey guys, we're still here."
I guess we can read into that Amy series after all.
Hey, didn't I say that? I said I don't like looking into the Amy series because it sometimes can give you some false hope. So I'm very fascinated on this. So what a round of footy, just an electric round of footy for sure.
Absolutely. And before we hop into things, just a couple things. Of course, you can find all of our great footy content anywhere you listen to pretty much any show, essentially. YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, or you can just go on over to thefourthandlong.com and stream the audio directly from our website and find everything footy at thefourthandlong.com/AFL. And one of the things I want to talk about before we get to our first kind of the segment of the day, which is going to be our overreaction segment, just want to talk about the live stream that we had watching another edition of the Sydney Derby. And sweet damn, that rivalry still has yet to disappoint, and if it had a little bit more history behind it, it would be one of the best rivalries in the league. But in terms of just play, in terms of just the on-field spectacle we get, I think it's right up there already.
It was hard to argue it. I know many pundits of the podcast and some of the shows that I listened to, they could not stop glowing about the fantastic footy that GWS and Sydney played in.
Blame them.
And you could tell this was a game between two quality sides that both are going to be right there in the chances for finals, if not in the finals, and going for a flag. And the scary part about it is both teams weren't even 100%. I mean, well documented. GWS was without one of their talismans in Toby Green.
Bullshit.
And then Sydney, due to some health and safety protocols, didn't have Jake Lloyd and didn't have Chad Warner. So both teams were not we're not 100% of their best 22, as many would say. So I'm fascinated by later on in this year, because I think these two teams get each other again, and it's going to be fascinating to see the difference between games, because Toby Green will be back, most likely Jake Lloyd and Chad Warner, unless, heaven forbid, none of them get injured.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that game, because if you ask most pundits, they think if Toby Green plays in that game for GWS most likely wins that game. So I'm fascinated to see, but just an incredible live stream. It was so much fun. You had two GWS fans with my friend Ross here, and then a very good friend of myself and a fellow USAFL footy nuffy in Rick Shaibani out in LA.
He's amazing. One of the only GWS fan I know, so obviously he's one of my favorite.
And then two Swannies fans with myself and one of my Des Moines Rooster assistant coaches nowadays and fellow Swan Nuffy, Mr. Brad Croston, who is also in my podcast that I do at Coach Hess's Sports Corner. And it was just great fun. We had a lot of fun. There was fun banter. We went back and forth. It was exciting.
A little bit of quiz action that you guys did pretty well. Over. Oh, man. I think one of those, I don't like jumping to conclude. I'm not a big jump to conclusions type of person, which I think the expectations is going to be interesting to see how I respond to some of these that you've put out here. But I liked the way they played. I think there were still some things. There's still some things to fix. We were real fumbly in the first half. They were really fumbly in the first half. I think if they air that up, this is a good team. I think the Swans can make the finals again this year, even still with a very young core and some great performances. Paddy McCartan coming back from some concussion issues. He had 4 concussions in the span of a year and a half. So, and there was a 4-year gap where he wasn't playing footy, and he comes back. They put him in the back line. He was a forward for most of his career, and he just had a great game, played really, really well. So there's a lot of good story. There's several good stories in the AFL besides Paddy McCartan, and then Sam Doherty coming back from testicular cancer for Carlton and helping them get a big win, including a goal that I think the entire MCG stood up for that one, even the Richmond fans. So that was
great stories.
Real.
Man, fantastic.
Also, huge shout out to Tom Green and Himmy. Oh, I love it. Man, they look great. But make sure we're not going to be streaming every round because, of course, that's horrible. We like sleep. I can't always wake up at, 2 o'clock in the morning for you guys. But, when the big games happen and the more you want it, the more you tune in, the more we'll do it. So go ahead and follow us over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Fourth Along Radio. So you guys don't miss the next one but if you caught it, you guys are fantastic and I love you. If you didn't, I still love you, but go ahead. I'll love you a little bit more if you tune in next time. But let's hop into the first segment we got going here because we got round 1 overreactions. Of course, one of the funnest things to do each round, especially in the round 1, Donnie, is to see the results and to make insane overreactions. But I got a list of 3 here, and you're going to determine if they are actually overreactions or if there is actually something to them. So the first one we got for you guys today is that the Geelong Cats are the best team in the comp, and this is after their 138-point game where they just They destroyed Essendon. I'm sorry, Dons fans. I like you guys, but you didn't look great in round 1. And they put up 81 of those points in the first half. And to me, this was a Cats team that felt way more fast-paced than usual. So what do you say, Donnie? Overreaction or not?
I can completely understand why some people could see this as a moniker of the best team. Essendon just did not look organized. They did not look as good as I think a lot of people kind of saw them at the start of the year. I'm going to say it's an overreaction just because I think I want to see how the Cats do this week against Sydney, a team that's much more broadcasted as being a finals
game, by the way,
or a finals team. Essendon was kind of one of those teams, I think, was the team everybody said would hop out and Richmond would hop in or Freo would hop in. So I'm not going to jump. I don't want to jump on that because, again, like I said, Essendon did not look good. They did not play well. And I think Geelong jumped them. And I think Geelong kind of surprised Essendon a little bit. They changed their game style just the tiniest bit enough. And I think it caught Essendon by surprise. So I'm going to say I'm not going to jump on that. I think it's a tiny bit of an overreaction. I'm going to sit back and go, let's get through 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds of footy. If they're still dominating teams like they did against Essendon, then you can maybe say that. But hard to say in one round, especially against an Essendon team that kind of got exposed more for a lack of good play than for being a good team.
I guess, unfortunately, one of the stigmas that rides with Geelong is that they're a fantastic regular season team, but once you get to the finals, that's kind of where they gas out. So this is a team where you're really going to have to watch through most of the season, especially round one finals, where they're more than likely probably going to make it, especially if they could keep up this pace. We'll see what happens with Jeremy Cameron. Luckily, the injury situation isn't as bad as previously thought. He's still going to be out for a good period of time, and we all know that hurts. He's a fantastic player, so easy to say that's going to hurt them.
The only thing though is I'm hearing rumblings that he's back at training. He didn't look too bad, so there is talk that he could potentially be back for round 2. We'll have to see. It's still touch and go. We'll see how he's going to training, but he could be back. They said thankfully there wasn't any internal damage, so everything looks okay. It was just a very heavy hit, and I would probably say it's pain. It's a combination of pain management for him. If he can handle the pain, he'll play. If he can't, I'm one of those. Be careful, especially with a superstar player like that.
It's round 2
early in the season, because you don't want to cost them 7, 8, 9 rounds. You don't want to. I'm one of those, and this is not the Sydney cider of me.
You want him out
to face Jeremy Cameron. No, I want him out there because I think it's only going to make the game that much better if Jeremy Cameron is playing. So I'm the exact opposite. If I want to beat you, I want to beat you at your best. I don't want to beat you hurt. I want to beat you at your best.
I can respect that.
At least I want my team to beat you at their best. So I'm one of those. I want him back, but if I'm the Geelong coach, I maybe sit him just to be safe, because you need him for rounds 7, 8, 9, that middle section. When you start getting in the tougher part of the year, then you need him in rounds 1 and 2. You can afford a loss early in the season. It's not gonna put you out of the chances of making the finals. It is one of those. It is 10 times better if you're sitting here resting him in round 2 to be sure that you have him for rounds 12 through 15.
Absolutely. Dang, Donnie, you breaking stuff back there? Didn't know you're that mad about this.
I decided all of a sudden to just go, and I'm like, oh, I'm like right in the middle of talking. I'm like trying to fix it and not try to mess up my. And I'm like, the other thing is trying not to mess up my camera. So it was like, it's just like all of a sudden it just like, okay, I'm done.
Oh man. Let's get into overreaction number 2, Donnie, and that is the Gold Coast Suns are actually a good footy team. Are you buying it?
Oh, as much as I would love to say yes, I'm gonna go. They played the West Coast, and the West Coast is depleted as all get out this round with so many big players out. But as I said pre-mic before we turned the mics on and started recording, I said if Tuke Miller and Matt Rowell play like they did against West Coast in this game against Melbourne and games later on in the year, and they are consistently this good, Gold Coast will be a pain to beat because they are tough in the midfield. They will get the footy out. They may have to score by committee because of the fact that they don't have the king, their king brother. But if they can score by committee, they can win a few games. I think a lot of people at the start of the season probably would have said there's no way they'd win. I don't think I'm not going to sit here and say they're good. I think if Rowell is healthy and playing well, they can be much better than they were a season ago. And last year they were 12th. So we'll have to see.
The fun part about last year too is that they caught some steam in that kind of middle, and they're kind of ones that ruined the season for Richmond too. So it's not like this team doesn't have life.
Yes, and I agree. And in signings of Marbio Chol coming up there, and I think he had a really good game for them, giving them a little bit more athleticism in the backup ruck position behind Jared Witz, who's back from an ACL. They've got some players. They've got some dudes, as I've heard some people say when it comes to talent. They've got some dudes. They've got to gel because they are so young. So can they gel? If they gel, there's a lot of talent on this team. This is a very good, can be very skilled team. It's the issue is, do they have the grunt and the work ethic? because you can have talent all day, but if it doesn't work hard, it doesn't really matter. So that's the biggest thing I'll say there. Can they? Yes. I hate fence sitting, but I'm going to fence sit on this one just because I think it's too early to say that they're good, but I think it's too early to say that they're going to be bad just because they beat the West Coast Eagles. So
yeah, now
I'm going to fence sit on that one. I know.
Probably, honestly, if they do end up competing for the top 8 spot, I would have a whole lot of fun with that just because it would send the footy world into insanity. But what I can definitely see the Suns team is being like the North Melbourne Roos team that we saw last season, where they weren't great. Obviously, they finished last, but especially at the end of the year, they became a pain in the butt of a team to play, and you definitely cannot take them lightly. So I can definitely see the Suns kind of be that bump in the road where, yeah, you're probably going to get over it, but it's not going to be easy, and you're going to actually have to try.
I 100% agree. Like they are going to be an absolute nightmare for teams if they are up and about. But again, they've done this before. First 5 or 6 games, they play well, and they hit that game 8, 9, or 10, and it's like the petrol's out of their car, and they just stop.
Yep.
So I'm always kind of hand back. I kind of don't argue Gold Coast love for a bit until I see the consistency. So it's going to be round 8, 9 before I'm even going to try to look into that particular one. But it's fun though, and it was great to see Matty Rao get back to what I think a lot of people expected out of him. Like that was the Matt Rao of his rookie year when he was absolutely lighting it up and got 3 Brownlow votes in 3 of his first 4 games. So, yeah. I mean, I'm hoping that stays. I really, really do.
And as long as we're on the topic of the Gold Coast Suns, it's time for the season debut of the Ross Gold Coast fan counter. And you know what, Donnie? I'm feeling mighty generous. It was a hell of a way to start the year off. They put up a lot of points. People like offense, all right? And so they're going to get a little bit more fanfare for that. And let's go and start them off at 34 supporters. 34. Let's give it up. Let's give it up for the Gold Coast Suns. Yeah, you guys deserve it. I love you because I kind of sympathize with you because I don't see a lot of GWS supporters. So we're not as bad, but still growing. But we're going to get into the last statement of the segment. And plug your ears if you're a Richmond fan, because, Donnie, is this an overreaction or not? Dusty Martin's best games are officially behind him.
Oh, this is a fun one. I'm almost looking forward to some of the responses for some people.
We all know how
Richmond
fans are. Oh, they're plentiful.
Dusty, like a lot of superstars, Dusty is one of those. He can get hot at the most, at the right times. And early in the season, right now, I just want him to get his legs back underneath him. I mean,
of course,
he's trained the house down. He looks fit. He looks firing. He's got all the kilos back that he lost after the lacerated kidney.
Not an easy injury.
I just get some consistency in your footy before we start saying that. Again, 8, 9, like. He finds a way sometimes to just be that impact player. So I'm not going to go that far because I want to see it. Like his best stuff was in the finals. Like for some weird reason, he was just one of those guys that when the finals lights came on, he turned it up. He hasn't always been the greatest home and away player. Like he'll get his stats. He'll get his 20 disposals. He'll get a goal here and there. But he's not gonna light it up for 25 disposals and 4 goals and have 8 goal assists. That's stuff he saves for the finals. So I'm not gonna say that he's past his prime. I hate doing that. It's the same thing with the Tigers. I don't like saying the Tigers dynasty is dead yet because it's way too early for that. And
we've been proved wrong before. Like zombies.
Oh, they're like a zombie. They're like the zombie tigers. They find a way to just come back from the dead at times. So I'm not going to sit there and go there, but I'm going to say that he is getting a little bit up there. I think the consistency in those superstar games might be coming down, but he's still such a good player.
Yes, he is.
I'm not going to jump to that proverbial conclusion right now. But again, the guy is a great player. He's still one of those guys you fear when he's lining up for the Tigers. So it'll be fascinating to see how he kind of handles the rest of the year.
It's not like he had a bad round one as well. He had a goal, put up 21 disposals, and he was there helping to facilitate a good amount of scoring plays. I mean, he wasn't scoring like, Shai Bolden was in kind of those players where they had a great, just that Richmond game in general. I looked at the final score because I didn't watch it live, and then I rewatched the game. I was like, how the hell did this happen? Because I was watching the first quarter. Mm-hmm. Then I saw everything after that. Then you saw, the Richmond go back up, Carlton go back up. Man, if you look at that scoring timeline, it's fantastic. But Dusty, he's still freaking Dusty Martin, all right? So I don't want to put, the nail in his coffin quite yet, because if anything, he'll just put the nail in every one of his doubters, which would not surprise me. And especially, he has the talent around him to be good as well. It's not like all the pressure is on him.
Let me push back just the tiniest bit. I think he's got some talent around him. Whether the talent is deep as it has been years before, I think that's the thing that a lot of people say is the reason why Richmond, and this is a little bit me too, and I've heard this pointed out, and I really agree with it. They've been picked off because of all those years of great talent, all those years of winning titles. Mm-hmm. It's like any sport. The top teams are going to get picked off, especially in free agency, that those players are going to go to other teams. They're going to pay them because they think that type of environment, that player coming from a championship team, is going to help them win a championship. So many guys from that Tiger Dynasty era have left. They've either retired or they've went to different teams. That this isn't the same Tigers team. It is a much less, it is not nearly as deep a squad as years before. Yes, he's got guys like Revel and Lynch and Cochin and Broad and Vlosten. They've got talent. They've got stars. But the issue is unlike years before, injuries in the midfield are killing them. Dion Prestia, another soft tissue injury, will hurt this Richmond team because there is not the depth that there used to be. So I'm very fascinated to see how this is going to go, because Prestia's injury, I think, puts a kind of a hole into this Tigers midfield. How do they bounce back over these next few weeks will be the biggest question.
Fantastic point right there, Donnie. Definitely can't deny that. There's still talent there. Is there as much, like you said? No, there is not. But that's going to do it for our overreactions for round one of the footy season. Of course, sound off in the comments on YouTube, or let us hit us up on our socials on Instagram and Twitter. Is Geelong the best team in the comp? Is Gold Coast actually good? And are Dusty Martin's best games behind him? Of course, I'm sure you guys got your opinions on that one, so go ahead, let us hear it, because I would love to see what you guys have to say on this one as well. But before we get into a segment that we're going to be also debuting, at least when it comes to our footy shows, called What the Blank, a segment I'm sure a lot of you Aussie fans, and half our listeners, can enjoy, because man, there's English, then there's Australian English. And Australian English isn't always great when it comes to keeping things PG, and I definitely don't mind that, because you guys are the freaking best. But one thing we're going to talk about before we get into that is a mess of a story, to say the least, and to put it lightly. When it comes to, Tommy Boy and Bevy, oh boy, you can't have a round of footy without a little bit of controversy coming from the season now, can we, Donnie?
Oh boy, let's unpack this just absolute, and I'm gonna say it, and if you want to bleep me, an absolute shitstorm. That was just the first 48 hours of the footy season, and it
what a way for it to start.
It marred the start of the footy season, because instead of talking about the D's performance, the D's raising the flags, it was Bevo's argument with Tom Morris because of a news story and a news kind of break that he put out that it kind of it blew up. What basically happened, and I'm going to try to break this down as quickly as possible so we're not sitting here beating a dead horse here, is basically Tom Morris reported through sources from the Western Bulldogs that Lucky Hunter was not going to play. He was going to be dropped for the game against the Western Bulldogs. Luke Beveridge kind of fired back and was like, no, that's not going to happen. Tom Morris doubles down the day before selections, and then when selections come, Tom Morris gets proven right. Lucky Hunter is an emergency, which then due to an injury in the warm-ups, Hunter goes from an emergency to on the bench. After the game, Bevo and Morris have quite a heated, well, actually, it was more of the other, is Bevo getting heated at Tom Morris.
Yeah.
For reporting it, calling him a gutter journalist, and a few other, and it was more of a personal attack than it was about the story. But Bevo kept using excuses that the more he talked, the more he proved what Tom Morris had been reporting was correct. Now, to add to this, like a WWE face and heel turn, less than 24 hours after that debacle, even more drama happened as WhatsApp group coverage and some communications that is alleged, again, I will say this again, allegedly. Tom Morris being misogynistic, racist, and just not very nice to a female cricket reporter who at the time had not come out. I'll state it like that. I don't want to discuss that anymore because I don't think her name should be ran in any more than it already has been. Mm-hmm. Morris was stood down for this, and it kind of threw a lot of people for a loop because for me personally, and this is my personal opinion, when the first thing came out, Bevo was wrong. Okay. Mm-hmm. What Tom Morris was reporting was correct. So there was nothing wrong with him reporting it when he did. Now, how he got it, whether that was wrong or not, that's up for debate. And that's going to be a debate nobody's going to be perfectly correct on because, in my personal opinion, if you're a reporter, as long as you don't do it, as long as you don't have to steal it, or as long as you're not getting it through some kind of nefarious ways, if a person at the Bulldogs tells you this is going to happen and they have knowledge that it does, there's nothing wrong with reporting it. No. Whether the club likes it or not, like I agree with what some people said. The blame should be on the leaker. The leak out of the Western Bulldogs. Well, the leak out of the Western Bulldogs was the issue, not Tom Morris.
Exactly.
Now,
exactly.
What Tom Morris said in that WhatsApp thing is reprehensible, and legitimately. And I have a lot of friends that are female that are in sports reporting, and they go through a lot of BS. And I'll say it like that. I reached out to them because I wanted to let them know because I'm there to support them. And I know it was very, very hard to hear what was said in that and how devastating it was because it just brought back more evil memories. So I don't want to discuss this because I don't want to give it any more air. Plain and simply, it was an absolute shitstorm. And it really marred the start of the season, and it just was nothing but bad. And I hated it. Because there's not much that you can do besides just hope that that Tom Morris gets the education to not say something so stupid, even if it is his personal life. You can't say that. You can't think that. It's unacceptable. But I'm also going to say this. Bevo was wrong. No matter how much he whined and complained, he was wrong. He was wrong. Like I said, how the reporting happened, that's up for debate. We can have that discussion. I gladly have that discussion.
How the leak happened
was wrong.
Exactly. I think how the leak happened, that is the controversy here. Not talking about the whole text. If we just take that out of the picture, we talk about how they got the information, not Tom delivering the information that he was given. That's journalism, exactly. And that was his job.
And that's what I saw a lot of people say. It's like, no offense, Bevo, but you're yelling at Tom Morris. You should be finding out who's leaking information and get rid of and address it with them. I mean,
you're yelling at the wrong person.
He's shooting a messenger that's getting a message from somebody in his own thing that he could take care of. But he's taking in my personal opinion, he's taking the lazy way out. He's attacking a journal again. Whether journalists are always genuine, and I put this in a tweet, I think you saw it. I said, whether reporters are genuine with what they always do and how they get information, that's up for debate. And again, there's a lot of reporters that don't get them through nefarious ways. They get them through actual legitimate sources. Whether he did or not, I don't know, and I'm not going to comment on them. but it just was very frustrating because it was being talked about everywhere. And I understood why it was being discussed, because it was a huge topic, because it blew up. Like, everybody knew about it. And then the whole Tom Morris thing blows up, and it took a totally just destructive turn. And that was the most frustrating for me, because I know so many female sports reporters that it was a blank on their existence at that time, because they have to relive this stuff, and they shouldn't have to. It's disgusting behavior, and it just frustrates me as somebody that likes many of my contacts that are down there that I know that are footy people are of all different types, and I love every single one of them, and I intentionally meant to reach out to tell them that I appreciate everything that they do. If you watch any of my AFLW reviews, I intentionally try to find women in sport. I think it's the best way to give women's voices a chance to be heard. So that was my biggest thing there, and I'm going to continue to do that. I'm not going to be deterred by this. In fact, I'm going to be even more pushing to try to help female voices get out there. So if you don't mind, let's stop talking about that topic, because I could go on for days about this one.
So if we want to stop talking about this, how about we move into the best way possible and to talk about something that's fun? Well, I guess as long as you weren't a fan of the MCG this round, because we're going to throw it on over to What the Blank. And this is a segment that we have in both our MMA shows and as well as our NFL shows. So go ahead, catch those if you haven't already. thefourthlong.com/MMA, thefourthlong.com/NFL. But the way this works is that essentially this is Donnie's time for his creative side to shine, because I got 3 statements from him, and within these statements there's a blank at the beginning, the middle, or the end, and it's up to Donnie to fill it in with whatever he pleases. It could be a word, it could be an essay, it could be just a sentence, it could be a grunt. I don't care. It is all up to him. But the one we're going to start things off with is that the MCG is blank after their vendor, let's call it fiasco.
The MCG is embarrassed by this fiasco, because it added to an issue that I think has already been discussed with a lot of people. And
you're not going to have beer.
We talked about this before we turned on the mics. It's difficult enough to get to the footy with everything that's kind of going on. You've got COVID hesitancy. You've got all these games that are in some inopportune times. As much as I love the Wednesday night footy, it's like, if you want families to go, Wednesday night, not such a good night.
It's not Thursday a good night.
Not such a good night. Maybe Friday. But I mean, so it's bad timing. And then you have this fact that you have many of their food stands don't have food. Their beverage stands don't have beverages.
Or they're closed. The ones that are open don't have anything.
It was a hot... Well, and the ones that did had long waiting lines.
Can you call the hot mess if they didn't even have hot food, Donnie?
Yeah, and you'd think they'd be all prepared. Round one, you'd think they'd be stocked to the gills. But unfortunately, it's kind of the same issue with a lot of places, is that they're short-staffed, and then the fact that you've got supply chains and everything like that. So it's embarrassing that they couldn't find a way to get everything stocked and ready, so then that those first few games, the MCG would go off with a hitch. The fans it was already a low enough crowd. So you add to that with that. Mm-hmm. Got a lot of unhappy people, unfortunately, in Melbourne. And so we're hoping that we get a bounce back week this week, but we'll have to see.
Right.
I'm very interested to see if the MCG can alleviate the issues that popped up when it came to their food and beverage for their fans.
I guess it's a little bit too much to ask for, essentially the flagship stadium in Australia to be ready for a game of footy. I don't know, man. Maybe we just got to lower our expectations a little bit, or lower expectations, especially when it comes to things like the Essendon Bombers. I'm so sorry, guys. But going into statement number 2, blank is the biggest injury concern for Port Adelaide. Of course, they have numerous ones. So which one do you think is the worst?
I'm a proponent of defense wins championships. For me, I think Alir's injury is the biggest one, because a syndesmosis to one of your best defenders, He helps rebound. He helps bring the puck, bring the football back to the other side of the field. Great with rebounding. His intercept marking is one of the best in the entire league. Fantastic. So I think Lear's injury, I think, is going to be the most damaging to this Port team. I think Port will be okay, but that injury, it's going to take a little bit to kind of figure out how they're going to make up for that, because that's a big injury for a very important player.
Definitely could be a worrying one as well. Port Adelaide, they haven't gotten a flag over the past few seasons, but they've been the one leading the pack. They've been in the top four a lot of times. So they might be at risk. They're probably still going to be a finals team, but now it opens up the door for teams like maybe a Sydney to work their way up into the top four. So I'm sure you're not complaining, Donnie, is a Bloods fan there. But this is definitely, at least if you're going to have injuries, have it happen early in the season where you still have time to, make up ground. But Lear is definitely a big hole to fill. And I would say he's the best intercept marker in the league. So that's a tough shoot. And that's a tough boot to fill.
Definitely. He's definitely going to be difficult to fill. I think Port's got the depth, but they're losing a little bit off the rebound. They're definitely losing a bit. So it'll be fun to see how they handle this.
Of course. And one thing that happens after round one is that half the league is essentially guaranteed to have a goose egg when it comes to the win column. But, Donnie, let's see if you can give a certain fan base a little bit of hope with this last one, because the 0-1 team with the highest hopes is blank.
For me, it is, and it's not just because of my present company. I think it's GWS.
Yes, sir.
You still got Toby Green coming back, and just an absolutely champagne game of football with Sydney this week, and a lot of people are impressed that I like the way GWS played. I think that there's not much you can take out. That was two good teams. So one team was going to lose that game unless you got a draw. So
one team was probably going to lose that game.
Usually. So, but I like what GWS has. They have a nice mix of young and old. I think they finally started to find some good grit players to kind of give them that little hard edge that I think sometimes with all of the super talent that they had, they didn't always have that edgy, tough, kind of gritty player.
Yeah, I know.
They've kind of gotten a few.
It's kind of fun.
So we'll definitely have to see. They need to get to Toby Green and still be within a game, or most you can be behind is 8 points to the finals. The good thing is, like I said, when he comes back in round 6, you still have plenty of games to go. But you cannot be more than 2 games back of the finals, because that makes your road that much harder. I think GWS is good enough. They're going to win a few games without Toby Green. So they're the team I'm the most bullish of the one-loss teams. The other one's the Doggies, but there's still some things there. But I think the Doggies are kind of expected, so they're not the team that I would say have the highest ceiling, because I think they're already kind of near the ceiling. GWS is that team that a lot of people said they're going to be out of the fun. They're the team that's going to fall out because of Richmond. I'm not so sure about that right now. The way they played that game, and like I said, once they get Toby Green back, they're going to be a difficult side to knock off. So I'm going to go GWS on this one.
I'll definitely keep my fingers crossed on that one. And I do like the answer in terms of just trying to stay 8 games back at the most once Toby returns to play. Right now, of course, they're 0-1. They're at 0 points, but they have some. They could definitely make up some ground here, still get some wins. The remaining 5 games of the 6-game suspension for Toby Green is against Richmond this round, against Gold Coast, Fremantle, Melbourne, and St. Kilda. So winnable games against Richmond, Gold Coast, Freo, and St. Kilda. Tough one against Melbourne. I do think 4-2 is, after these 6 games, 4-2 is a really good scenario that they could put themselves in. At the worst, if they come out 3-3 at the end of this, they're still in a fantastic position when it comes to finals. And hell, they might even be at the top 8 by the time Toby comes back.
Definitely a possibility. If they can win a few games in the right way, they definitely have a possibility for that. So it's going to be fun to see how this kind of goes. This game against Richmond I think is a huge one, because if you can get the win here against Richmond, you kind of stabilize yourself, and you put a little bit of a dent into Richmond's confidence a little bit, because if they go 0-2, you take one of the teams. So many people would kind of say they're back, that they're going to be back. If you dent them and get them 0-2, you're going to dent their confidence. It'll be fascinating to see how the rest of their season goes, let alone your own.
So, GWS, let's see if we could send those Richmond supporters not only home with a loss, but home with less food than anticipated, because this is the MCG. So we'll see how this goes. Oh man, what a thing that is! But let us know your thoughts on this one. I know why I want to bring into these what the blank segment into the footy shows is a lot of people love it when it comes to our MMA and NFL shows. So I figured let's see if you guys love it or hate it. If you hate it, I'm sure you're gonna let me know. If you love it, please let me know as well, because we want to just continue to make the best show for you guys, because we're here to please. Because when it comes to audio, all 24% of you Aussies are fantastic, and when it comes to YouTube, all about 45%, I give from the top of my head, of you guys are fantastic. For being an American-based show, it's pretty damn impressive what you guys are doing for us. Also, shout out to the 0.1% of you guys that are from Czechoslovakia. So there you go. You guys are great too. Don't know how you found this, but thank you. But let's
I don't normally like to do this, Ross, but Czechoslovakia is gone. Is it the Czech Republic?
Yeah, Czech Republic. That's the one. Thank you.
I was like, Czechoslovakia went boom, and
Ross,
is now like 8 different,
geography.
4 or 5 different countries now. So
Yep. You're right. The Czech Republic. That's the one. The whole World War II history, Ross's head was at work in that one. Shoot, maybe I still have to remember my states when it comes to Australia too. So maybe I'll have some education to do this round.
I can help you.
Oh, I know you can.
I got most of them. I may not know every single one, but I know most of them.
The only one that matters is whatever one Sydney's in. So cool.
That would be New South Wales.
That's what I thought. Maybe, kind of. I don't know. Did you think I thought that? Who knows? Only I do. But let's avoid the geography controversy, and let's get into the last couple segments we got here, because, of course, we got the return of Coach Hess's team of the round. So this is the only list that matters. The only one. In all of Australian footy media, this is the only one that matters. So you better turn on your ears and tune into Coach Donnie's team of the round. Give it to us. What we got here?
Oh, always my favorite one. I love the team of the week, because I really try to kind of combination of statistics, who statistically played well, and then if I watch the game, who stood out to me. So I always love this, and I'm an impact player. I'm one of those impacts. So it's not always going to be these huge disposal games. It's who makes an impact in the game defensively.
The meters game.
So let's jump right into
plays,
it. Defense wins championships. We'll start with the defenders of the team of the week. We'll start with the Western Bulldogs. Bailey Dale, 25 disposals, a goal, 6 intercept possessions, 5 score involvements, 6 marks, and 602 meters gained. I have to say this is my favorite one to write down for the team of the week. Carlton's Sam Doherty, the return from testicular cancer, and he goes absolutely bonkers in this game. 26 disposals, a goal, which was one of the best moments of the round. 6 intercept possessions, 4 score involvements, 6 marks, 3 clearances, and 467 meters gained.
I'm just going to go ahead and name him, on behalf of both of us, player of the round.
It is hard to argue that he wasn't, but there's a performer here a little bit later that I think could definitely put his hand up that may ruffle a few feathers in the GWS camp, but it's hard to argue that he wasn't one of the best players. But we can debate that a little bit. St Kilda's Jack Sinclair, 25 disposals, a goal, a behind, 4 intercept possessions, 6 score involvements, 5 marks, 4 clearances, 4 tackles, and 599 meters gained. Essendon may not have played well, but they had a couple of really good performers this last round. We'll start on the defensive performer with Tom Cutler. 24 disposals, a goal, 4 intercept possessions, 6 score involvements, 9 marks, and 538 meters gained. Port Adelaide's Darcy Bryce Jones, 26 disposals, 5 intercept possessions, 4 score involvements, 8 marks, 3 tackles, and 443 meters gained. Given a little bit of love to a former Sydney Swan, Adelaide Crows Jordan Dawson, 17 disposals, a goal, a behind, 3 intercept possessions, 3 score involvements, 6 marks, and 336 meters gained. We jump to the ruck, and no, sir, it is not Brodie Grundy, but it's his counterpart, Mr. Max Gawn of the Melbourne Demons. 14 disposals, a goal, 4 marks, 4 intercept possessions, 8 score involvements, 34 hitouts, and 326 meters gained. We jump to the engine room, guys, and that's the mids, and these statistics are ridiculous this round. Midfield, we'll start with quite possibly the best player on the ground in the Melbourne Demons Western Bulldogs game, and that is Melbourne's Christian Petrarca. 38 disposals, 2 goals, a behind, 3 intercept possessions, 13 score involvements, 8 marks, 9 clearances, and 869 meters gained. We go to the next night, sees Carlton's Patrick Cripps, 30 disposals, 3 goals, 10 score involvements, 5 marks, 8 clearances, and 679 meters gained.
Crippa had himself around,
I'm not a bad fan. I got to give a little bit of credit. GWS's Tom Green, 31 disposals, 2 goals, 8 intercept possessions, 7 score involvements, 5 marks, 8 clearances, 7 tackles, and 366 meters gained. By far, probably one of the more impressive stat lines of the entire, and this is not a homer pick, Sydney's Luke Parker, 21 disposals, 5 goals, not Buddy Franklin 5 goals, but Luke Parker 5 goals, a behind, 3 intercept possessions, a goal assist, 11 score involvements, 5 marks, 5 tackles, and 379 meters gained. Rounding out the midfield this week where the starters is Mr. Dan Houston with 36 disposals, 2 goals, 2 behinds, 7 intercept possessions, 10 score involvements, 12 marks, and 775 meters gained. We jump to the forwards, and we had some goal kickers this round and some names that, quite frankly, going to the start of the season, some people wouldn't have guessed. We start on the first one, probably one of the best forwards, and that's the rookie from Adelaide, Josh Richelli. 14 disposals, 5 goals, a behind, 8 score involvements, 5 marks, 3 tackles, and 282 meters gained. A fellow rookie or first-year player is Essendon's Nick Martin, who had 27 disposals, 5 goals, 3 intercept possessions, 8 score involvements, 10 marks, and 315 meters gained. Though without his partner in crime, the Western Bulldogs' Aaron Naughton had quite a game, with 14 disposals, 4 goals, a behind, 7 score involvements, 6 marks, and 342 meters gained. A great return for Mr. Tyson Stengel of the Geelong Cats, with 20 disposals, 4 goals, 3 behinds, 3 intercept possessions, a goal assist, 11 score involvements, 4 marks, 3 clearances, and 466 meters gained. A guy that I think could have a heck of a year, especially if his midfielders play as well as they did this last week, and that's Gold Coast's Isaac Rankin. 23 disposals, 4 goals, a behind, 2 goal assists, 11 score involvements, 6 marks, and 284 meters gained. And because of how well Geelong played, I got to give a second Geelong guy a little tap on the shoulder, and that's Mr. Tom Hawkins. 17 disposals, 4 goals, 2 behinds, 3 goal assists, 14 score involvements, 8 marks, and 278 meters gained. We jump to the bench, and as per usual, I have one from each section of the field. We start in the defense. A little bit of love to the orange and charcoal, and that's Mr. Harry Perryman of the GWS Giants. 24 disposals, 7 intercept possessions, a goal assist, 4 score involvements, 5 marks, 4 tackles, and 394 meters gained.
Love the representation.
The midfielder would be Collingwood's Patrick Lipinski. The former Doggy has a heck of a game in his first game in the black and white with 30 disposals, a goal, 5 intercept possessions, 2 goal assists, 5 score involvements, 5 marks, 5 clearances, 4 tackles, and 389 meters gained. Grabbing the ruck bench position would be Brisbane's Oscar McInerney. 13 disposals, 2 goals, 4 marks, 4 clearances, and 12 hitouts. And rounding out the round, the team of the round sees Sydney's Isaac Heaney, 25 disposals, 3 goals, 6 score involvements, 5 marks, 6 clearances, 6 tackles, and 413 meters gained. Some incredible stats there, but some incredible performances. So it's hard not to argue that the teams that got multiple players in had incredible performances. GWS, Sydney, the Western Bulldogs, Port Adelaide, some of them had some pretty good games. So it was quite a fun round of footy.
Absolutely it was. And I gotta say, loving the gray and orange that was on that list. Also, shout out to those 2 colors, gray and orange. The best colors in the history of the world, especially given the show you're watching right now. You know, that's one thing I was thinking about going to the season. Is like, I was looking at my 4th and long hat, which of course you can get these fantastic trucker hats. They will be out near the end of March. I know I've been slacking on them because life has been ridiculously crazy recently. So I will admit I'm a slacker, but I will get those out. But the, very sexy hats, thefourthlong.com/apparel. Go get your orders in now before I officially put the order in for those, so we get those shipped out. But I was just thinking, man, I didn't even choose the Giants based on the color. I chose them because they're the first team I remember watching. So I'm like, for the wardrobe, it's pretty damn good. It's quite the play.
And I love their charcoal unis. Like, legitimately.
They have to be one of the best in the league, man.
Those are very slick. So I'm normally one of those that I love a good Guernsey, and that is quite a nice kit there. So I got a tip of the cap to GWS on that one. I love those charcoal Guernseys. They look so good.
And in terms of the Bloods, I cannot wait till they can break out their vintage Guernseys, because those things are sweet. But we're going to cap things off with the way we know how, and that is when it's our tipping, our official picks for round 2 of the AFL season. Of course, we will be 1 game behind technically by the time this posts when the show uploads, because those damn Thursday morning games really get it for us. But, it is what it is. All right, we're just going to rock and roll with it, and we'll see if we're right in post. But, Daniel, we got a fairly good slate of games this week, and I'll also be able to give you guys the percentages that we're looking at least the most up-to-date ones, because I'm going through the AFL tipping site. I think I should probably do that this year. So, when I make fantastic tips, it's proof, and when I don't, I just completely ignore it. So the game we're going to start.
If you remind me, I keep track of my tips with a couple of friends of mine. So if you remind me, I just need to keep track of yours, and we can see who ends out being the best on the show at the end.
I
of
like
the year.
it. I'll definitely be posting the percentages as we get through the season. Also, just our overall rank in the world, which mine is not great, but we're going to start things off with the first game of the round. That is the Doggies and the Blues. Right now, we got 79% of the world taking the Doggies. How are you feeling with this one?
This one's a fun one, because if you had asked me at the start of the week, before some of the COVID issues that popped up with Carlton, I was seriously debating about picking Carlton in this, because I was interested to see how the Western Bulldogs defense is going to handle it. Now, no Adam Chera, no Michael Voss. So their head coach and one of their impactful midfielders is out. I just think the Doggies ran into a really good D's team. I don't put a lot of emphasis on are the Doggies in trouble. I'm going to tip the Doggies in this one, but I think Carlton is in this. I think this comes down late in the 4th quarter. I just think the Doggies have enough firepower, especially Bontempelli is playing, which there was some chance he might not play. I just think the Doggies have a little too much class in the midfield. I think it's going to catch them a little bit. But this is one cracking game for a Thursday night. Cannot wait.
I'm going to roll with the Doggies as well, but when it comes to the most value and my favorite underdog tip of the week in terms of the betting odds, I love the Carlton Blues. They're right now we got the Doggies at $1.55, the Blues at $2.41. I think this is probably the best value right here. You could, I don't think I can even bet just because of where it is, and I know Idaho we don't do sports betting anyway. But if I would do this one. Or if I could, I would do this one. But let's swing on over to your Swannies, Donnie. They are being tipped at a 56% rate against the Geelong Cats, which this is a hell of a toss-up one.
This is a coin toss for a lot of people because it just kind of depends. Just Jeremy Cameron play. If he does, it does kind of even out this game a little bit because it will give Sydney more to think about if Jeremy Cameron plays. I'm gonna go Sydney in this. I think everything that I've seen, and maybe this is a little this isn't fully homerish, but this is just what I've seen.
Yeah.
The Sydney fans are absolutely alight. They cannot wait to get to the SCG. I think it's going to be a raucous crowd, especially with the chance of Buddy only needing 4 to hit 1,000. So a lot of people want to see this game. So I'm going to go Sydney, but I think like last year, it's going to come down late. I'm hoping there's no controversy like last year. I'm hoping this is just a solid win, but some great performances. It really kind of do we see Lloyd and Warner back? Do we maybe see Laddams come back for his first possible dressing as a Sydney Swan? And then again, just Jeremy Cameron play. Do the Cats have as much success against the Swans as they did the Bombers? Because if they do, it could be an ugly night for the Swans. But if not, could it dent the confidence of these Cats, especially considering they are a list that this is kind of their last hurrah for a lot of people. So
Absolutely.
I'm going to tip the Swannies, but I think this is a coin flip game. This was difficult to tip personally.
I'm going to roll with the Swans on this one as well. If Jeremy Cameron plays, that would definitely change a lot of things. Assuming that he doesn't. I like Sydney from the home crowd with the whole prospects of Buddy. But I can't help to think there is a horrible person inside of me that was just thinking, oh man, imagine if the Swans are down by 2, Buddy he has a 3-goal game, he kicks it after the siren, and it goes off the post.
That'd be cruel for some
That'd
people.
be so...
That'd be cruel.
Oh,
that'd be absolutely cruel.
If I somehow jinx the Swans, I am so sorry, but there's just one thing. Oh, that'd be evil.
That would be.
Fingers crossed that doesn't happen. Let's go to a game where a lot more people are more comfortable with riding one team, and that is going to be the Collingwood Magpies and the Adelaide Crows. Right now, we got 92% of the tips going to Collingwood, and I'm not surprised by the landslide of Magpies or Magpie tips here. I'm right with them.
This is one of those, again, it was like if you would have asked me a couple weeks ago before the season started, before the first performances, I'd have given the Crows a little bit more of a sniff in this game, but the Crows didn't play as well as I kind of thought they might in that first game, and the Collingwood Magpies played absolutely fantastic footy. Coach McRae really kind of opened up their game style, and I think being at the MCG, Collingwood's going to come out. I have the Pies in this one. I think it's a little bit closer than some of the experts think. I don't think this gets to be a blowout like some people think it might be. I like Collingwood in this one, but I think this is another one. Like, this is a really good slate of games, a lot of intriguing and I think close matchups.
Now, the next one is going to be the Dons and the Lions. We got a 90% tip rate to the Brisbane Lions, and are they lying with their tips?
Oh, not really.
I'm so clever.
I've had some doozies this year in the AFLW reviews. I got Brisbane in this one. I don't like the mojo of Essendon when your best player just got signed 2 weeks before. That's not a good sign. There's a lot of questions. Now this could be that perfect game where Brett Ratton comes in, throws a chair, slams a few lockers, kind of gets everybody's attention enough that maybe they play better. I'm hoping, but I gotta go off what I saw, and what I saw was not good by Essendon. So I'm gonna tip Brisbane here in this one, but I'm hoping for a bounce back from the Bombers here, and I think that they make this a competitive game. I don't see this as another blowout, but it can if Essendon doesn't show up.
And going to the last couple of what I guess I would deem easy tips, or at least easier tips, we got the Port Adelaide Power against Hawthorn. 91% of the tips going to Port Adelaide. That's not surprising. Are you with them as well?
I got Port in this one. Port's really solid. Yes, they have a few injuries, but this is a Hawthorn team that I think the reason they won round one is because they played a North Melbourne team that
not great.
Unfortunately, they did the same thing last year. They didn't start off well and kind of improved. I'm hoping that maybe that round one was a little bit of an anomaly. I'm hoping, but we'll have to see. I got Port. Port at home. They're always good. Yes, they've got a few injuries to fix, but this is a Hawthorn team that is in a rebuilding stage when it comes to their list. So I'm going to trust Port. Their depth of their list is going to make up in this game. So I got Port in this one.
Nice. And into the last game where, actually, this is the last game where I agree with the majority of tippers. That is the Gold Coast Suns and the Melbourne D's. The D's at a 95% tip rate. So shout out to you, ballsy Gold Coast tippers. Either you misclicked or you've seen the future. So D's.
I'm one of those. I think those people are banking on Melbourne after round one against the Duggies, maybe a little bit fatigued, and maybe you're going to take the Suns lightly. I just don't see the D's doing that because that's not been their MO. The D's don't take teams lightly. Like, you have to play your best game to beat them, and you have to hope that they don't play well.
I mean, they're
not
a team that plays hard
takes you lightly. Yeah, well, they're so structurally sound. They're such a well-coached team that they don't make a lot of mistakes. Like, when they make mistakes they're just having a bad game, and everybody has a bad game here and there. I'm going to tip the D's in this one, but this one I'm going to be fascinated by because how Gold Coast handles this game. If they're competitive, if they're in this game, then I think Gold Coast is on the rise. Then there's serious talks of them not being a spoon contender, but starting to climb up the ladder and maybe potentially fighting maybe for the bottom part of the 8. I don't think so, but the questions start getting asked if they're competitive in this game. I think D's win this, but I want to see how this game ends up. If the Suns have it by less than 2 goals, that's positive for the Suns.
Now, next game, third to last, we got North Melbourne Roos against the depleted West Coast Eagles. 55% tipping the Eagles on this one. I'm actually going to go against the grain. I'm going with the Roos just because I think even if they're just a little bit better than what we saw last round, they could beat this Eagles team. If they're able, anything where they were like at the end of last year, I think it's possible.
Now here's where I understand your tip. But here's where a little bit of the information that I am aware of may make you change your mind. And I know you love an upset. 3 of their superstars are really being talked about being back, along with Darling. They're talking, Tim Kelly will be back out of health and safety protocols. Luke Ryan will be back out of health and safety protocols. Darling is being talked about, his foot injury. He's back to health. He's training. So it sounds like Darling may be selected. And there's talk Luke Shuey could be back. That's 4 big ins for the Eagles next week that I think will flip this game a little bit, especially with what I saw with Northwood and the fact that they're going to the West Coast, and West Coast Eagles do play really well at home. I'm going to tip the Eagles in this one.
Oh, I thought this was a Marvel.
Oh, it is a Marvel. My fault. My apologies.
Yeah,
I missed that really quickly.
I got one up on Donnie. That doesn't happen every.
I quick looked at that. That's my fault. That's more on me than anything. No, I'm gonna tip the Eagles because I think the ins will change this game. I know it's at Marvel Stadium and the West Coast Eagles don't travel well, but those ins are great ins, like an elite Tim Kelly. And elite forward and Ryan, and then potentially a big, strong power forward with the injury to Mackay when it comes to North Melbourne. That's a bad matchup if he does play. And then potentially Luke Shuey, another inside mid, right around the footy. It's the worst possible time to get all those outs for the Roos. They were really hoping they would get a depleted team, and they're getting a much stronger team than I think they originally expected. So I'm going to tip the Eagles in this one, but it's close. I think this is going to be one heck of a game.
I'm going to stay stubborn. And in the next game, we got a 72% tipping rate to the Richmond Tigers. I'm going to stay stubborn again with this one. Let's ride with the Giants. They hurt me last week, but they looked like it was about to be a good tip there. I think they have what it takes, at least odds-wise. This is very close. Richmond at $1.90. The Giants at $1.94 with this one. So I think they definitely have the firepower to do so. If you take away, if we get the same teams that we saw in round one, the Giants should definitely have this game.
All right, I'm going to be 100% honest with you here. Okay, so I have a tipping competition that I'm in, and I submitted my tips after the start of the week. Mm-hmm. And I legitimately, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to tell you straight up, I had Richmond, but I thought about what I said earlier, Dion Prestia being out, some of the injuries, some of the struggles, and I agree with you. The way GWS played last week, if they can bring that same thing. I'm going to tip GWS in this one. I know this is the MCG. The MCG is usually a hollow ground, but for some weird reason, teams I think have started to figure out Richmond a little bit. I think I like GWS. Thinking about it a little bit after what I saw, and then just Richmond was not as solid as I thought they were. I'm going to go with GWS. I'm going to take a risk here, but I think it's a worthy risk because I think it's a good one. So I'm gonna adjust legitimately as you were talking. I changed it, so I 100% honest. I tipped to GWS. I won't change it. I'll keep it at GWS for this week. So I'll tip the Giants over Richmond in a fun one. This will be fun.
I'm pretty excited for this one, and if I'm going to take a risk on any game, especially playing the percentages of tipping for the masses. This last game is going to be mine because we got 85% of the tippers writing on Freo. I'm going for St. Kilda. I'm tipping St. Kilda in this one.
Oh my gosh, this is one. This was one. This will be one. I will try to talk you out as much as possible.
I need to go bold for at least one, then, Donnie. I need to go bold for one.
I know. Some people could say your bold one was GWS with the fact Richmond's got 3/4 of the votes there. No,
it's probably just because 3/4 of the AFL fan base is Richmond fans.
It's hard to argue that too.
It's an exaggeration.
I don't like the mojo of St. Kilda right now. I just don't. Freo is confident. They won their first game. It's at the West Coast. It's at home in the West, which again, the West Coast team, the Western teams play Western Australia very, very well. Perth Stadium is a fortress for them. So I'm one of those. Freo's at home. They're facing a weak St. Kilda team, a St. Kilda team that is riddled with injuries. They're inconsistent in their play. They still don't have a great ruck. They've got Rowan Marshall as a ruck, but he plays so much better when he has Paddy Ryder to take a little bit off of his little bit of the load off of him. And Paddy Ryder's still out. So, and Rowan Marshall cannot play that ruck position the entire game. I'm going to go with Freo in this one just because I like their mojo so much more than I like St. Kilda, and being out west, I'm going to tip the Dockers in this one. This is one I struggled with a tiny bit because, again, Freo, I wasn't super convinced in them, but getting a win at Adelaide, it's never easy. Yes, This is not an Adelaide team that's in the grand final anymore. This is an Adelaide team that's been towards the bottom of the ladder the last few years. But I like Freo's mojo. I'm going to go with a little bit more of the momentum tip than I am with what some people think. So I'm going to tip Freo on this one.
I can dig that. And there is a method to the madness, and it's totally stupid. But the only reason why I'm going with St. Kilda is because they are an inconsistent team. And that's going to play to my advantage because they're going to be inconsistently good this game for maybe the 3 times we'll see this year.
It'll be quite interesting. So just for our reminder, can you remember what was your record last? What was your record last round in your tipping?
4 and 5.
4 and 5. Okay, I was 7 of 9. So I was 7 of 9 last week. So I actually was pretty proud of myself. I called a couple. I called the Gold Coast one over West Coast was one. I noticed a lot of the tipping competitions, people were tipping West Coast. So I kind of tapped myself on the shoulder for that one. So, but yeah, I guess I was 7 of 9 last week. So
the ones that I would have looked a lot better if Port Adelaide probably didn't have to deal with their injuries, and if GWS could know how to close out a game of footy in the regular season. So, that's
two
new
of them.
round.
The Carlton one, the Carlton beating Richmond. Carlton beating Richmond what was the other? There's one other.
I'm kicking my butt. I didn't tip them on that
missed.
one because I really wanted to.
I thought about it just because of the fact that Richmond had a lot of injuries coming back, and we just didn't know how they would respond to it. And I can't even remember what the other one was. Hawthorn. I picked North Melbourne over Hawthorn. That was the other one I missed because I was going off of new coach struggle usually, and I was hoping North with Hugh Greenwood and Jason Horne-Francis would be just as good as they were last year, if not a little better. And yeah, I was wrong on that one.
Yeah, that one didn't exactly hit. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going
that one didn't pan out as well as I wanted it to.
Right? You know, it's one of those ones where it sounds a lot better in your head than it does when it comes to what we see on the field. But like I said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into our round one breakdown. That's going to wrap it for us. Man, what a round, what a way to kick off the year. And if this is any bit of a sign of things to come, I am beyond excited, not only for the mighty GWS Giants, but just the season in general. But Donnie, your thoughts in one word or phrase on round one of the AFL season?
Electric. I said at the start of the year, so many great games, so many games that went down to the fourth quarter. There were very few blowouts. So I love that we get competitive footy games. It does get rather frustrating when you get a top comp and you have two or three games that are, they're on. I'm fast forwarding in the middle of the third quarter because I know it's over. Like, I don't even have to know the result to know. I can fast forward through the third quarter. It's over. So
yep.
if I'm watching all the way through the fourth quarter because it's a good game, it's a competitive game, it's under 3 goals, I love that because, yes, I'm using up data and my Wi-Fi thing, but you want to know what? It's worth it because I'm getting to watch good footy, and that's the biggest thing for me. So I will take a few less data points when it comes to good footy. So we'll take it that way. So an electric round of footy, so many good ones, and I'm hoping round 2 lives up to it because it's some cracker matchups that I'm looking forward to.
It is a worthy sacrifice. A couple housekeeping items. Of course, find all of our great footy content over at thefourthlong.com/AFL. We can find Coach Hess on Instagram. I keep on calling you Coach, I call you Donnie, but Coach Hess always gets me because your Twitter and Instagram is Coach Hess 40. All right. Find him on Instagram and Twitter. Not the most active, but when he does, it's something fantastic. So you better keep him. If you follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And you see the return of footy. So go ahead and get yourself a Footy is Underrated Tri-Blend Cotton t-shirt today. That's over at thefourthlong.com/apparel. And go get your hats as well because I am done shilling for this week. So I hope you guys have a fantastic round 2. Go ahead and catch yourself a little bit of a snag. Maybe put some Vegemite on it. I don't know. With that, probably not. Don't listen to me. To go to the MCG. You better have some food and drink before you get there. And we'll see all of you after round 2 of the AFL season.